So, good day everyone. So, I'm Adigue and I'm one of the reporters for this chapter 6 entitled Web Development and Design. So, let's start defining web design. Web design is the process of creating all the visual aspects of the interface. This covers the layout, color, scheme, images, logos, type, design elements such as buttons and links, and anything else that you can see. Also, it refers to the design of websites that are displayed on the internet. So, from the word itself, web design includes the layout, color, scheme, images, logos, type, fonts, elements, and anything na makikita mo sa isang website. So, dito papasok yung visual identity. Visual identity, certain design elements should be carried through on all web assets created for a brand, as well as print and traditional communication media. Often, the visual identity guidelines for the web are codified into a digital style guide document to ensure consistency across different agencies, designers, and teams. So, ito lang yung parang pinaka-point dito sa visual identity. Answers the question, how do users know it as? So, dito sa visual identity, ipinapakita lang yung kung ano yung identity ng isang brand or isang business. So, sample natin, 'di ba, yung mga business, meron silang unique design na talagang nagpapakilala or nag-identify ng kung anong klaseng business sila na meron sila. So, dito pumapasok yung logos. The logo is the most prominent way to reinforce your brand identity on the website. So, through logo, mas na-identify o mas nakikilala natin yung brand na yun or yung business, diba? So, I have these some examples na nagpapakita na kahit tignan lang natin, ma-determine na natin or ma-identify na natin kung anong klaseng brander or company. So, here, diba? Pag tinignan mo siya, alam mo na kagad, through logo, madadetermine natin or ma-identify natin kung anong klaseng brand or business ang meron na yun. So, under siya ng visual identity. Next is the design theory. The first thing in design theory is the fold. It's the imaginary line at the bottom of the monitor that divides the immediately visible part of the website from the part that is visible only after scrolling down. So this is the example of a fold, above fold and below the fold. So paano nga ba natin masabing above the fold and below the fold? So ang above the fold, ang perfect example nito is yung mga introduction sa mga context or yung mga pinaka main point dun sa website, wherein sa above the fold, yung context nun is kung ano yung magiging laman ng pinaka body and ano yung magiging conclusion ng website mo. So, below the fold, dito mangyayari yung mga explanations, mga references na meron ka sa above the fold. Pag above the fold, yung from the word above, and then below the fold from the word below. So, let's go with consistency. Consistency in use of visual elements is vital to your online presence across all your properties and channels such as your email newsletter, FB page, and mobile site, as users do not perceive differences between platforms or even on or offline. So, consistency, it's just from the word consistency din na nagpapakita or dapat mo i-determine or parang i-prove mo sa kanila yung consistency mo bilang developer, di ganun. Bigay tayo ng example, di ba? Ito, dapat kung ano yung makikita nila sa isang computer, laptop, tablet, and cellphone, dapat iisa lang siya, di ba? Para walang kalituhan sa mga tao, sa mga users. Doon pumapasok yung consistency para hindi malito yung mga tao o yung mga user na gagamit nito. So, next is yung white space. White space, from the word itself, spacing on the page allows the eyes to travel easily between chunks or information and allows scanning. So, from the word itself, white space is just a space between your context or your website para mabilis mong matignan yung website or yung mga bagay na gusto mong makita. Parang i-scan mo lang siya, through that malaman mo na kagad yung infos or makikita mo kagad yung kung ano yung hinahanap mo. Sample niyan, if kung walang white space na tinatawag, kunyari magkakadikit lang siya, 'di ba? So parang ikaw as a reader o as a user, parang malilito ka sa makikita mo or mahilo ka kasi nga dikit-dikit sila at walang spacing na nangyayari. So sobrang halaga ng white space sa website. Next is color theory. Color has an incredible psychological effect on people. Based on our culture, preference, and learned cues, people interpret colors in very specific ways, and this can be used to inform and steer the user's experience. So, let's go with the color theory. So, I have this graphic information wherein pinapakita kung ano nga ba yung kahalagahan or yung definition ng mga colors sa website. So, I have here red for strong, energetic, sensual, yellow for optimism, confidence, friendliness, blue for intelligent, trust, promise, orange for comfort, security, fun, green for harmony, refreshment, environment, black for sophistication, glamour, and efficiency. So, tayo bilang isang tao, syempre, alam natin kung ano yung ibang kahulugan ng color, 'di ba? So, red parang 'di ba pinapakita nun yung love, affection, about fight, ganon, 'di ba? Blood, ganon. So, yung green naman sa about environment, trees, leaves, ganon, 'di ba? So, ang daming pwedeng maging meaning nun, 'di ba? So, it's about the psychological and preferences of the people or the users na kung paano nila i-adapt yung color na yon. So, paano natin na-express yung sarili natin through this color thing or color theory. Font. So, font copy conveys your brand message to your client or customers and should be easy to read and search engine friendly. So, isa din to sa importante sa mga website or sa mga pages kasi 'di ba through fonts paano natin na-express yung kung anong gusto nating iparating sa mga tao. So I have this video na nagpapakita kung gaano nga ba kahalaga yung pagpili ng font. So let's watch.
Font choice matters. Perfect for the 4th of July. Check this out. Here's the Declaration of Independence in its original font. It would not be nearly as effective in Comic Sans. That would suck. And check it out in curls. Who the hell is that guy? We would not have the United States if they had a curl font. And I put it in wingdings just because I'm a nerd. Here's the other thing. Watch this. This is how important font choice is. Look, if I sent this message to Tomoe, you will always be mine. Just plain font. Look what happens if I put it in the miss you font. All of a sudden, you will always be mine. Even throws little hearts on there. Same message. Just the font. You will always be mine. And then check it out in something called Something Strange. You'll always be mine. No one else will have you. You will always be mine. Here's my message. Pick your font carefully.
O, 'di ba? Ganun yung kahalagahan ng font, 'di ba? So, through font din, kaya nating i-express kung ano ba yung talagang gusto nating ipakita or gusto nating ipabigay or ipadala sa mga readers natin or sa mga users natin. So, that's how important font is. Next is typography layout. So, it's just it can be drawn attention to the context user should be see first, indicate which process an informative take precedence. So, it's about the layout lang siya na gagamitin mo. Yung pinakauna na dapat na pinapriority mo kasi through this, kaya kang i-judge ng tao. So, as a producer or a designer. So, dapat ito pa lang, parang ito na yung pinaka-priority mo, yung typography layout mo. Ano yung, paano mo aayusin or paano mo ipapakita sa mga tao yung pagiging creative designer. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alan Grace and I'm your reporter for today and I will discuss about web development. What web development is? Web development is the process of taking finished web design and transforming them into fully functioning alternative website. Development is what gives life and movement to the aesthetic design and enable user to access the website through their web browser. Web development is simple as that, paggawa ng isang website. Siyempre, pag gumawa tayo ng website, may tinatawag tayo na web developers. Sila yung responsible for the site technical aspects such as its performance and capacity, which are measured of a website speed and how much traffic the site can handle, and also a web developers are the one who create content for the website. What is the importance of web development? Web development is a tool to you as a business woman or businessman for you to make people aware of the services and products you are offering and understand why your products are relevant and even necessary for them to buy. So, web development help your business to promote your product or services that you may offer. Next is the 3 key decisions you must consider in creating a website. First is, should your website be static or should it have a content management system or CMS? Second is, which server-side language should be used? Third is, which front-end language should you use? Let's discuss each one of it. First is, what is static website? A static website is made up of a fixed number of pre-built files stored on a web server. These files are written in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which are called client-side language because they is execute in the user web browser. When a user requests a page from the server with a URL, the server returns the HTML file that is specified by the URL and any accompanying CSS and or JavaScript file. Common example of static website includes resume website, portfolio website, brochure website, one-off landing pages, and other informational or read-only site. These websites are small, 3 to 4 pages or fewer, limited in content, and don't require personalized content or frequent updates. Next is Content Management System or CMS. A content management system or CMS is an application that helps you to create and manage a website via human-friendly interface rather than needing to work directly with the code. A digital application for managing content and letting multiple user to create, format, edit, and publish a content, usually on the internet, store in a database, and presented in some form like with a website. How does a content management system work? Content management system are digital. They are application used on computers, sometimes offline but more frequently online. Next, help user to create, format, edit, and publish a content. This may include support for media, written content, or drop codes based on the CMS, but the core idea is that you can make and publish some sort of a content. Next, store the content in a database. Again, the supported database and hosting type vary from CMS to CMS, but the content always gets logged inside a database. Next, give access to multiple users. One CMS may have unique user permissions, while other might allow for a specific editor, authors, and admin roles. Next, present the content. As mentioned, this usually happen on the front end of a live website, but some content management system allow for private or even offline publication. Please watch this video to understand more.
WP. A question I'm often asked is, what is a CMS? Well, in the web world, a A CMS is a content management system. Let me show you. This is a page on a WordPress website, and we're looking at content. There's a navigation, a header, a post with a graphic and title, some text, etc. If we want to manage this content, be able to change it, add new, etc., we simply log into an administration area, a website, just for managing this content. And this is that same post. Here's our title. Here's our text. If we scroll down some, you can see here's that banner at the top. But you'll note that this page doesn't edit the header or the navigation. That's because we want it to be the same on every page. So that's managed someplace else. This page is all about editing the content just for this particular post. But let me show you a little bit more. If we go here to Appearance, Menus, you'll see here this site navigation, which matches what you see here at the top. And if you want to reorder it, you can simply drag and drop and save menu. If you want to add new to it, the content management system knows about the content on your site. So you can simply click and add to menu. And then save menu on this page here. Now, I don't actually want to do that right now, so you can just as easily remove things from the menu. And this particular theme allows you to say where you want the menu to appear. I have header bar navigation, but just with a click of a button, I could instead move it here next to the logo, or put it in the footer. In the old days, when we built web pages that looked like this, we had to type the code by hand. And it looked a little bit like this. Modern code is even more scary. It looks like this. But the wonderful thing about a content management system is that you don't need to know any of that. All you have to do is know how to point at the right place, click at the right time, and type your content. Now, I've talked about WordPress here, but there are many content management systems. This is the Wikipedia page that lists by language, and then within languages, there are many, many options. When looking at a content management system, you should look at the platform you have and the knowledge available to you, and choose the right one for you. I like WordPress because it's extremely easy to use, very well supported, and extremely common. It currently runs over 27% of the web. There are plenty of educational tools, and it's not going to go away out from under you anytime soon. So if you're looking for a great CMS, take a look at WordPress.
Next is server-side language. Server-side language are the hidden web coding language that determine how your website works and communicate with the web server in your computer. It's a type of development that involves programs that run on a server. Server-side developer focus on behind-the-scene development, and server-side development is also referred to as back-end development. This type of programming is important because web browser or clients interact with web servers to retrieve information. Server-side programming is very useful because it allows us to efficiently deliver information tailored for individual users and thereby create a much better user experience. Next is front-end language. Web users have come to expect rich interactive experience online. In interactive website interfaces are part of that. Front-end language or client-side languages are languages that are interpreted and executed in the user browser rather than on the web. Para mas maintindihan natin kung ano nga ba ang server-side or front-end language, please watch this video.
Now we've had a look at servers and how our computers, the client, communicates with the server. So that should be your first indication as to the difference between client-side and server-side languages. Now, in order to discover whether a language is client-side or server-side, you have to look at where the language is compiled or transpiled, don't forget. So, in either case, whether it's transpiled or compiled, what we need to do is look at where that process takes place. Now, if that process takes place on your computer, it's on the client side. If it's on the server, then it's server side. So take, for example, a standard web page that you pull in. You ask the server for a HTML page. Now, the server will also give you any associated CSS and JavaScript files. So we have received on the client side, we are the client, the HTML, CSS and JavaScript files. So now we're on the client side. Now we know that HTML and CSS are markup languages, so therefore they're not compiled. However, JavaScript is a scripting language or a programming language, and it is compiled. So what happens is that will be compiled on our computer, on the client side. So in fact, JavaScript is in fact a client-side language. But what about a server-side language like PHP, Ruby, Node.js? All of these are server-side programming languages. And why? Well, your server gives you outputs. So it will either output files and it will be compiled on your computer, or what it will do is it will do the compilation or transpilation on the server and give you the output. So for example, I have a PHP file that echoes out hello world. Now if PHP was client side, I will be able to receive that PHP file and it would say echo, and I'd see the string and the semicolon. So I'd be able to see that file, but I don't. I don't get to see that syntax. All I get to see is the output, because what happens is the PHP script gets run on the server, aka compiled on the server, and it produces the string hello world. That's all it produces. I don't get to see any of the PHP syntax. I don't get to see echo and the semicolon and all the rest of it. It just gives me the string. That's it. It gives me the output. So once it's been compiled and it has the output, it sends the output from the server. This is all done on the server. It sends the output to your computer. That means that PHP, Node.js and Ruby are server-side, because all the processing is done via the server. Now, why is this important? Well, it's important because you could be accessing personal data via your scripts. You may have username and passwords in those scripts in your server-side language. So what happens is your server-side language has those username and passwords and all the rest of it, but that syntax doesn't get sent to the computer. Instead, that syntax is processed, and then once the syntax has been processed, it just gives the output. So that's why we have client side, which means the compilation or transpilation takes place on the client on your computer, or if it's on the server side, the compilation and the transpilation happens on the server side. And the client is not involved, and they don't receive the script, the syntax. They just receive the output.
These are some examples of front-end languages. First is HTML, second is CSS, third is JavaScript. Let's discuss each one of it. First is HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Language. Is a programming language used to create and structure web pages on the internet. Web browser interpret the language and display the page as instructed by the HTML. This is the example of HTML. Next, CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet and is a style sheet language used to instruct the browser how to render the HTML code. CSS can set many properties including the size, color, and spacing around the text, as well as the placement of image and other design-related items. Next, JavaScript. JavaScript, this is the most common client-side language used to create rich dynamic web properties. Because it is an open source language, many developers have added functionality that can be more quickly implemented. Again, please watch this video to understand more.
Every web page on the internet uses HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Think of them as the foundational coding languages of the internet. Just like how Belgium has 3 languages, French, Dutch, German, web pages also have languages. In the case of websites, their languages are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Sure, you may have heard of them, but do you really know how they work? Web development is what you see when you go to a website. I call them los tres amigos. HTML is hypertext markup language, or the builder. CSS is cascading style sheets, which I consider the artist, and JavaScript, the wizard. They're all different languages and work differently, but HTML, CSS, and JavaScript need one another to make a website. Imagine you want to code this homepage using HTML, but just HTML. HTML essentially would define all the content, the text, the images, the links, but without CSS, the artist, and without JavaScript, the wizard, an HTML-only website would look like this. CSS adds the styling to a website. CSS can't live without HTML, or else there's nothing to style. It's responsible for outlining the colors, the fonts, and the positioning of content. Your website will now look like this. Now we come to JavaScript, the wizard. Pop-up error messages, the auto-completes that you use, that is all JavaScript. Now that you understand how it works in the 3 amigos, here are 3 things to remember about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. 1, they make up what is called front-end web development. Front-end web development is what you see when you land on a page, as opposed to back-end web development is actually what makes an application on the web work. 2, web browsers like Firefox and Chrome translates these 3 languages into the visual web page. Without a browser, these languages are just words on a page. Sometimes, because of this, websites look slightly different on Chrome, Firefox, and definitely look different on Internet Explorer, because all of these browsers translate a little differently. 3, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are constantly evolving. It's just like any language. These coding languages have a history. They've been around for a few years now. Right now, the standard language procedures for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are called HTML5. There's even a body and a society online that manages the rules and best practices of how to build for front-end web development. So in the beginning, you actually had HTML controlling a lot of visual aspects. You used a bold tag to make text bold, used a center tag to make your text centered. But over time, after the 90s, you actually had CSS making up most of that. In the beginning, JavaScript was mostly for pop-ups, and now it animates most of our websites. So whatever you see on the World Wide Web, you have los tres amigos to thank for it.
Next is Flash. Adobe Flash is a language for creating rich interactive experiences. It supports video and it's often used to create game-like web experiences. Although widely supported by the desktop browser, it has limited support on mobile devices and it's not usable on Apple devices. Best example for this is yung mga games na nalalaro natin noon sa desktop. For example, is Y8, which is nandun yung Mario, yung Sonic, yun. Next is mobile development. Mobile internet usage has increased dramatically in the last few years, and according to the Washington Post, is predicted to continue increasing by 66% globally each year. kang 2013. Because of this, it's important for all brands to make themselves accessible on mobile devices can fall into a range of categories. Mobile development is the process of creating software application that run on a mobile devices or phones. And typically, mobile application utilize a network connection to work with the remote computing resources. Earlier, I discussed about web development, which is creating website in our desktop or in our web browser. Now, I discuss mobile development is about creating website in our mobile phone or gadgets. Please watch this video to understand more about mobile development.
Back in 1983, a young man in a white shirt rolled up the sleeves predicted the evolution of the digital era, where software would be downloaded on mobile phones. Over 2 decades later, Apple's App Store made its debut with 552 apps. While most people think this was the beginning of mobile applications, it's actually not the case. The first ever smartphone was launched by IBM in 1994. Yeah, way back in the 90s. Most early mobile apps were aimed at productivity assistance, such as email, contact databases, calculators, and calendars. But today, this has radically changed. Apps run the world. And if you compare the technology that we use today and the ones used a decade ago, you'll realize that we've come a long way. A really long way. Before 2008, developers built web apps using languages like WML, CHTML, and MDOT. But the internet speed on phones was slow at the time, and the price of data was still quite high. To overcome this, an alternate solution was found. The term native app development refers to building apps for specific operating systems. These apps provided a quick and smooth experience to users, but at high cost, as companies needed to run concurrent development for multiple platforms. This setback gave rise to the greatest crossover in the history of mobile app development. PWAs allow web applications to gain native app qualities when accessed through a mobile web browser, even when offline. This saves a lot of money and provides a quality user experience, irrespective of the type and capacity of a network. Today, we're shifting towards needing little to no coding experience to create apps. And the best part, even a business user can build PWAs with low-code technology. In case you don't already know, low-code is a new way to build custom applications on development platforms that abstract the laborious process of writing code by hand. It helps you to build both web and mobile applications with its drag-and-drop interface and user-friendly scripting languages. And that about sums up the evolution of mobile apps. But what comes next is uncertain. One possible future is that, due to increasing demand, app developers will continue striving to design a single experience that will stretch across any internet-connected terminal. What do you think will be the future of mobile app development? Drop your comments below.
Next is mobile website. Make it possible for user to access information about your brand on the move wherever they may be, as long as their phone has browser and an internet connection. Mobile website need to be designed with the mobile device in mind. Mobile website interfaces demand a simpler approach and a consideration of screen size and input method. Basically, a mobile website is more easier than any website in the internet. It has a simple design where we can easy to understand the function and usage of the mobile website. Meaning, mobile website is easy to use so that everyone can use it without struggle. Next, native mobile app is a software designed to help user perform particular tasks. Mobile app can be sold or made available for free. There are many developers who create apps in order to derive an income, while free apps that offer user value are often sponsored by brands or advertising. An app can be excellent tool for connecting with your customer. In my own understanding, a native mobile app is an app where there is an ads so that anyone can earn money. It also said that native app can be an excellent tool to connect with your customer. So basically, the example of native app is Shopee and Lazada because we can use it to interact with our customer through selling our items. TikTok app is also considered as a native app because it has a shop where you can sell your products and earn money through TikTok shop. Next, responsive website is a website that changes its layout depending on the devices it is displayed on. It looks one way on a desktop computer, but then adapts to the smaller screen size and layout on a tablet or mobile phone. In this way, a single development project can cater for mobile device form factor. Creating a responsive website means you only need to build one website for the full range of devices from desktop to mobile. This can be challenging exercise and will require a lot of planning upfront to make sure that the site displays correctly on each device. One of the example of this is when we log in to the website of TESDA. Di ba nakadepende yung display nun sa gamit natin, which is kung gamit natin phone or desktop. For example, pag naka-desktop ka, makikita mo lahat yung features ng isang website na yon. While pag phone naman gamit mo, limited lang makita mo. Syempre, maliit lang, small size lang yung screen niya. So, hindi mo makikita lahat ng feature niya. Kailangan mo pa i-desktop site. So, bali dito, nakadepende lang sa gamit mo na devices ang display na makikita mo. For example, kung gumamit ka ng desktop nun, syempre makikita mo lahat ng features ng nasa TESDA na website. But, pag gamit mo yung cellphone, limited na yung makikita mong feature kasi kailangan mo pa siyang i-desktop site kasi unti nga lang makikita mo, limited lang kasi gawa ng small screen size lang yung phone. So, when you create a responsive website, you need to be careful. Dapat i-consider mo if applicable ba ito sa desktop or mobile devices. Para syempre naman, di ba, yung mga customer mo is maka-access sa'yo at sa ginawa mong website. Next is step-by-step guide to build a website. First is planning and research. Planning a website start with research your market, your user, your competitors, and your business. If you already have a website, you can use existing web analytics data to understand how well you are meeting your users' needs. Key question you need to ask: what are your business objective? How should this digital property help you to achieve this objective? Who are your user, potential customer? What problem does your website need to help them to solve? Next is choosing a domain name. Domain names are important. They are part of the URL of a website. Domain names should be easy to remember and if possible includes important search keyword for your business. Domain name can carry the following information. Domain is the registered domain name of the website. Subdomain, a domain that is part of a larger domain. TLD, the top level domain, uppermost in the hierarchy of domain names. Directory, a folder to organize content. Step 3. UX and content strategy. You also need to gather, analyze, and map out what content is needed on the website. This content is then structured in a process called information architecture. A site map should reflect the hierarchy of content on the website and navigation. Second, it's much easier to change track in the planning and research phase than the line when design and development have started. Step 4. Search engine visibility. Search engine traffic is vital to a website. Without it, changes are that the site will never fulfill its marketing function. It is essential that the search engine can see the entire publicly visible website, index and fully and consider it relevant for its chosen keywords. Step 5. Design. Design happened before development. According to the step explained earlier in this chapter, the designer will transform the wireframe and basic planning materials into beautifully designed layout. Step 6. Development. The development phase usually kick in once the design is finished, although developers will sometimes start their involvement as early as the wireframe stage by creating low-fidelity prototypes to support the user testing process. Normally, the developer uses the design templates to code the actual website using the front-end language that you have chosen. Server-side development and CMS consideration may also be part of this phase. And the last step is step 7, testing and launch. Testing is an important part of website development and design, and it should take place throughout the process of planning, designing, and building, leaving just finally quality assurance or QA testing before the site goes live. Test subject should be real potential user of the website, not just a member of the development team. Second, the site needs to be tested in all common browsers to make sure that it looks and works it should across all of them. All links should be tested to make sure that they work correctly, and it's always a good idea to get a final check of all copy before it goes live. That's all. Thank you.